Will Sukuna be injured by Yuji's executioner sword? Or will the executioner sword not work on Sukuna at all? Has Yuji acquired a new curse technique? Can Choso and Yuji use the blood piercing technique together? And will Gege change the point of view again to show the fight between Hakari and Uraume? I will answer these questions in this video, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. First, let's have a short review of chapter 247 so that we can recall everything that happened. In short, Higuruma and Sukuna start fighting. In the midst of it, Yuji intervenes, whom Sukuna injures and drives away. Higuruma then has both his hands cut off, and Sukuna urges him to use the reverse curse technique. Just then, Yuji returns, distracting Sukuna. During this moment, Higuruma uses RCT to regenerate both hands and attempts to attack Sukuna with the sword, but Sukuna escapes. Eventually, Sukuna slashes Higuruma. At this point, Yuji comes behind Sukuna, and just before Higuruma dies, he hands his sword to Yuji. That's it. Sukuna was greatly impressed by Higuruma's skill level, but ultimately it was not sufficient to defeat the King of Curses. However, Yuji finally took the spotlight in the battle against Sukuna. This moment, long awaited, has generated considerable excitement. Chapter 248 of Jujutsu Kaisen is currently the focal point of anticipation for all of us. In the previous chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, we witnessed exciting action, with the spotlight mainly on Higuruma. While Yuji had minor roles in the chapter, the majority focused on the skilled sorcerer, who even impressed the King of Curses. Higuruma not only successfully used domain amplification, but did it so masterfully that Sukuna regarded him as using cursed energy at a level equal to his own. This was one of the highest praises that anyone could give Higuruma, and the fact that it was coming from the strongest just further went on to show how skilled Higuruma truly was. Now, let's talk about what we could expect from chapter 248. On the other side, there's a possibility that Higuruma might survive. If the author does not provide a clear focus on Higuruma's fate and leaves it ambiguous, there's a high chance he might make it through. This is particularly possible, considering he recently unlocked the reverse curse technique and his head seems to be intact. A significant part of Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 248 will undoubtedly focus on Yuji wielding the executioner sword. In the previous chapter, Higuruma passed the sword to Yuji, reminiscent of Nanami entrusting everything to Yuji after the events in Shibuya. With Higuruma supposedly fallen, Yuji is set to take over the battle. I am eager to see how he utilizes the executioner sword, and whether he succeeds in hitting Sukuna. Despite Yuji's speed and strength, Sukuna has proven superior in every aspect of battle. Attempting to strike Sukuna from behind, which is challenging to evade, raises in anticipation whether Yuji will make successful contact. The situation can unfold in two ways. If Yuji successfully hits Sukuna in Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 248, we might witness Sukuna sustaining heavy damage, but finding a way to overcome it. While the executioner's sword is said to guarantee death, it's too early for Sukuna to fall in battle, and he won't die even if it's struck. On the other hand, the safer option for Gege might be to have Sukuna dodge the executioner's sword entirely. However, this approach could render Higuruma's sacrifice seemingly pointless. Gege needs to strike a balance, allow Yuji to achieve something with the executioner's sword without killing off Sukuna. Perhaps Sukuna might have some form of sacrifice that balances the situation between him and Yuji. Maybe somehow Yuji is able to save Megumi by isolating him from Sukuna using executioner sword. I also made a video on it, you can watch it on my channel. Sukuna is likely to survive Yuji's attack, and their battle will continue. As the fight progresses, the focus will shift more towards Yuji, highlighting a crucial aspect of the story: Yuji's usage of curse technique. In the previous chapter, Yuji may have used a curse technique, possibly blood manipulation, which includes piercing blood. If he indeed used piercing blood, chapter 248 of Jujutsu Kaisen will likely showcase his mastery over this skill. I was scrolling through Twitter when suddenly a post appeared in front of me. It said, "Can Yuji and Choso not perform a blood piercing attack together?" And I felt like this might be possible, and if that happens, the entire fandom will go nuts. It might just be in fan art, but such a possibility exists. Gege has plenty of options, and it will be interesting to see how the story unfolds. It's worth noting that Yuji took a close range hit of Dismantle in the previous chapter, typically a fatal blow. Despite taking a close range hit of Dismantle, Yuji clearly survived. This could be attributed to the usage of blood manipulation, which might have the potential to keep him alive. Alternatively, it might indicate that Yuji possesses some resistance to Sukuna's technique. Whichever explanation Gege Akutami chooses, it's expected that chapter 248 of Jujutsu Kaisen will delve into this matter, providing a brief explanation of how Yuji managed to survive the seemingly fatal blow. And speaking of Gege, we know how he skillfully changes the point of view in the middle of crucial moments. Like right now, there's a very important fight scene. But in chapter 248, Gege could shift all the attention towards Araume and Hakari. What do you think? Will we get to see Yuji vs Sukuna or Araume and Hakari in the chapter 248? I personally want to see the fight between Yuji and Sukuna. But let's see what happens. Don't forget to tell me in the comments what do you think about how chapter 248 will be. That's it for now. Until then, peace. Or maybe not.
誰だっけ